Okay. All right, we should be live. Okay, so let's see who shows up first. Oh, that's awesome. That's a custom, isn't it?
It is. It is.
That
Hey,
was nice.
HCC. What's going on, brother?
Well, just kind of hanging out here at the hacienda. Just got a 1992 GI Joe headquarters with the box and the blueprints. It's supposed to be complete, but I still got to inventory all the parts. It's a really big playset. It's sitting right behind me there. Just got that in today, so that's very exciting. But not quite as exciting as talking to CUJO from GI Joeberg.
Oh, I would echo that sentiment. Talking to a YouTube partner, isn't that right?
Something like that, yeah. I guess like YouTube partner. It's basically I'm able to get ad revenue from Google. And okay, I've got like a picture in a picture. Can I fix that? Nope. All right. Well, nice idea. See, this is why we do show prep to try to fix these things. All right. So anyway, hello Peter Ang and Adam, and hello Delvis. Hi Troy. Nice to see you guys. So we are here with CUJO from Joeberg. And we've got cool stuff to talk about. And it's nice to see everyone. Hello, Troy Smith. Hi, Brandon Knight. So sorry, everybody, I missed the Tuesday live stream. But we were doing a family thing. We were out. My youngest daughter was playing violin at a concert at her school. So that just, it conflicted. Even though it would have been late, I almost went ahead and did the live stream anyway, but it was quite late when we got back, so that didn't quite work out. So hey, extra bonus, we got CUJO here on Thursday night. So how about that?
Thanks, brother.
So
well,
what's
I'm
happening
trying to
in
multitask here,
land?
find the live stream going, but I don't know. Maybe we've outthought our devices. Thanks for having me on, brother. I appreciate the signal boost and the good vibes.
All right, yeah. I guess Joe Fest is just on the horizon. How you feeling about that?
Well, we were both in Chattanooga last year.
Yeah.
That was a special time. I don't think I'm chasing that experience. I think this will be kind of almost like a coming together of a new wave of creatives. That's how it feels on my end. What about you?
I think so. It's kind of it may be a little bit of old meets new, because you're gonna have like the old creators from back in the day. You're gonna have your Larry Hama. You're gonna have your Kirk Bazigian. You're gonna have Ron Rudat and all these guys. But it's the first major show where some of us relatively newer fan creators are actually going to get some attention. Joe Fest never really, or not Joe Fest, but JoeCon never really gave us a lot of attention. They actually didn't really give us any. They we were kind of non-existent as far as JoeCon went. But finally, I think some of us are going to get a little bit of the spotlight, which I think is good, not just for us, but for the community, because right now the fan creators are what is making GI Joe. I mean, that's what's keeping GI Joe. That's what's keeping GI Joe going.
You're not wrong.
With Hasbro has. I mean, we're supposed to get a movie next year. That's great, fine, whatever. But right now, there's just nothing. Hasbro is doing nothing with it. So if you really want to know what's happening in GI Joe right now, you got to look at GI Joeberg. You got to look at Form BX 257. You got to look at there's plenty out there, but but it's being created by us. It's not being created by Hasbro.
Yes, yeah. I'm sorry. Were you still going?
No, I'm good.
No, I think, I mean, I don't know how easy it is to quit, but age of information is something I could talk about for many lifetimes. But podcasters, YouTubers, early adopters. I'm going to call you an early adopter just because range, not like you did, and continue to kind of agree to, it's a work in progress on both ends, I think.
Yeah, I think the
earliest.
I
think it's time to kind of realize that your network is at the grassroots level.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it,
and by the way, a side note, my connection with
there's a little bit lag, but go ahead, brother.
Yeah, my connection with you may not be perfect, so FYI. But I think I'm catching most of what you're saying. I think the earliest adopter in this arena, at least the one that's still around, is Kevin, Form BX257, and I try to give that guy credit anytime I can, because that guy was doing it before most of us even thought of it. And in fact, he inspired a lot of the people that are doing it now. So I'll just take that moment to give a nod to Kevin, Form BX257, who's been doing this for like 10 years. Yeah, I just kind of follow in his footsteps. But yeah, grassroots. That's what we are. It's the grassroots. And I hope that. My hope is always that G.I. Joe gets more mainstream recognition. I think it deserves more mainstream recognition. I don't want to always be, this big underground success. I'd like for G.I. Joe to be cool again. And I don't know if the new movie or movies will do that, but, I'm willing to give them a chance.
Well, it just depends on. There's great stories all around us. I mean, you mentioned Kevin, and there are people that have kind of stepped into the spotlight and stepped back just because, as a content creator, there's a balance between your real life and, not that this is not real, but it's a separate kind of entity that. I mean, it's not like you're going to the grocery store and people are like, getting in your face for pics and stuff like that. It's kind of a strange thing. Yeah.
That's definitely true. But I know I've said before, my project here is finite. I'll be doing reviews until I've done everything from the vintage line. Stopping at 1994, and I kind of like the idea of having a project that is complete. It's done. But what that means is I won't be around, forever. At some point, if this is to continue on, it will be continued by others, and so I'm interested in seeing what the next generation looks like. And I'm perfectly fine, with the next generation coming up and taking over. I mean, they should. I hope that we have enough fans from the next generation that it can keep going. But yeah, sometimes I think about that. It's actually been on my mind quite a bit lately, is that at some point, for me, this project will be done.
Mm-hmm.
And what comes next? What comes next? I want to encourage people who want to get out there and create. I want to encourage people who have new and different ideas. And I want to encourage people who are maybe a bit younger than us, who will comprise the next generation of fans. Of course, I'll always have my G.I. Joe. My G.I. Joe was back in the 80s and I guess the 90s now. So nothing can really take that away from me. And so I guess if it doesn't carry on, I still have mine. But even so, G.I. Joe has been around really since 1964. It's this multi-generational thing. And I would like to see the next generation come up.
Well, I think a couple live streams ago, I don't know if it was Hama himself or somebody was saying that he wasn't getting the recognition he deserved. Is that accurate?
Yeah. And I think, I don't want to put words in Larry's mouth, but I've been following his Facebook, and he's not on Twitter, but he posts on Facebook from time to time. And just these. He's done about everything he can do in the comic book industry. He's been an artist, he's been an editor, he's been a writer, he's been on popular series, he's been on unpopular series. And of course, he's done G.I. Joe, that's probably what he's best known for. But he wrote Wolverine, he wrote a ton of stuff for Marvel and DC. And like when you start talking about the big names and the great contributors to the comic book art form and industry, his name is often not on that list. And he's had some negative experiences at conventions. One point a few months ago, yeah, he had his stuff stolen. Like somebody ripped all of his stuff off of his table when he had stepped away. And I feel bad for him. I also am concerned that he has also said that he's got pain in his hands, in his wrists, that makes it difficult for him to draw. It's difficult to do sketches. It's very difficult for him to sign his name. When he signs stacks of comic books, he says that's very uncomfortable. And so it makes me wonder how many more years he's going to do this. How many more years are we going to have him to meet with and he's still writing comics now. I feel like. Well, go ahead.
Well, I think I can give a reply to that in the sense that like just what we're talking about how to build a healthy network within a fandom, which all of those words feel a little formal, but we're in the age of information, so that's what I talk. But on the Hama front, I feel like that. If people were listening to the fandoms, if people were listening to your live streams, to the podcasts, then they'd get it. They'd get that people do get Hama. And I do know that like people say that G.I. Joe can't be relevant in this age because we're kind of beyond the lens of violence between nations. But I kind of look at it like this way, this will probably be the closest thing I do to a rant during this generous hour of conversation. Thank you, brother, again, by the way. But whether you know it or not, if you live in the States, you live in Rome. Not like metaphorically, like actually. Athens, Georgia, Roman aqueducts in Mexico. But essentially, Larry Hama put humanity to characters that represented moving parts of our government because we're a warring nation, if you hadn't noticed. So, it's one of those things where Hama gave those facts personality.
Yeah.
Like this, I've been sitting on this for so many years, but I'll let it go right now. Like, if you look at characters just thematically, the loudest character is Psych Out, and his file card is the loudest. It's the simplest argument. It's don't let other people frame your narrative. Like, that's so true in the age of information. So I think smart people get it, but like you can't, it's up to how new networks shake out. I think Hama is appreciated. I think he knows it. I hope he does.
I hope so. Sometimes I don't know that he does. But along those lines, I also just focused just a little bit more on the comic book industry itself. I think the people who really know comics know what he's done and appreciate what he's done. Maybe the casual reader doesn't quite get it. Maybe it's a little beyond them. But like the insiders, the people who know the industry, the people who have been around, I think he's got the reputation with them. I wanted to pause for 1 second and say thanks to Rezakai for the super chat. I won't rule out any future projects, but this particular project does have a time limit, I guess, on it. To your point about Warring Nations and about Larry kind of breathing life into these stories, I suspect that if there is to be a new iteration of G.I. Joe, it's probably not going to be geared toward like little kids, and I suspect it may not even be focused on toys. It may not even be focused on plastic, but there are still stories to tell. And the fact that there is conflict in the world is a part of our reality, and so a well-crafted story can help people process those things. Go ahead.
Oh no, I think like current day Hama. You just picked up the series again, did you not?
Yes.
I know when you work with editors, they give you a lane to write in. They say, write it like this. And Hama, he still writes some of the deepest characters. Like, even his casual characters go back for hundreds of issues. So it's just one of those things where it's like, he's still writing his ass off. Pardon me.
He is. Yeah, absolutely. I see Larry, in as much as his writing goes, as he's a craftsman. I don't know that he would be talked about alongside like Alan Moore or Neil Gaiman, but as a writer, he's a craftsman, and he knows how to craft a character. He knows how to build a character over time. He knows how to craft a narrative. And yeah, he's still doing that. He's a workman. I mean, he just puts the work in. But that seems to be taking a little bit of a toll on his body now. So I hope he'll still be around for a while. But it does seem, just based on what I read through what he posts on Facebook, that things seem to be getting a little more difficult for him.
Well, I mean, Hama still has a role within the community. Even if he's not actively doing stuff, he should be teaching people how to work. I mean, he's been, like you said, he's been in the game. He's an architect. So, I mean,
yeah.
No, I think that I can't expect everybody to get it, but I mean, G.I. Joe is true. It explains our world. You just have to look at it.
Even though you're absolutely right, and not everybody will get it, but I mean, I think that sometimes even we as fans and very active fans sometimes don't take a minute to provide some feedback. He's got this series still going with IDW, and he's mentioned before that he hardly gets any messages for the letters page. Well, I know people are reading it, but they're not writing in, apparently. And it just takes a minute, but I think that it would make a difference. And so that's one thing. I have picked up the series again recently, and that's one thing that I've committed to doing is, like, I'm going to take a minute with each issue, and I'm going to write in. I mean, why not? And I think just little things like that would make a difference. Now, one thing about, and I don't pretend to be like good friends with Larry Hama. I've met the guy, I've talked with him a bit, but it's like we're not close friends. I don't have Larry Hama on speed dial, so I'm not saying that. But I mean, Larry does also seem to be kind of a private individual. He doesn't share a ton of his personal life. There's sometimes he seems to like try to keep people maybe a little bit at arm's length, and that's fine. You know, he's deserves his privacy, but there could still be things that we could do to express our appreciation as a fan base that maybe we've been neglecting, because maybe it does feel like Larry will just always be there. Well, Larry won't always be there, and I don't know how much longer he will be there. So if you got something to say, now might be the time to say it.
Well, just on the Joe Fest tip of that, I'm not going with the angle that we're not getting any younger. I know I've said that in the past. I think in the age of information, you're never out of your prime. You're never out of your relevance. You just have to find where you fit in. So to that end, like for me, this year was Ed inspired me, the guy who's putting on the show. If you're out there, Ed, cheers, brother.
Yeah.
He inspired me to take the opportunity to get the Black Book done, which is that Indiegogo, which we'll get to.
Yes.
He said that on a podcast, Viper's Pit, I think. Cheers, guys. And I was like, yeah, you only go around once. Let's do something cool. And then I reached out to you because this kind of dovetails. But that's one of the problems in the medium. Like the comics medium is the best medium to be in right now because you can tell the stories you want to tell. You can't do that on other platforms right now.
It's also you can tell big stories without like having a big Hollywood budget too. That's one of the things I've always liked about comic books, is that you can literally tell any story with it, small or large, and it's a beautiful medium. It really is.
Well, it's the one thing where you can actually create a signal by yourself. You don't need hardware. You can do your own lettering. Like with the Black Book, I'll just kind of launch into the blueprint side. Yeah, I don't want to talk narrative. There's 5 days left to get it. I'll throw down a link. But the whole thing that sold me on trying to attempt to do this is, like, I see a lot of networks failing around me, and in media, it's my job to kind of like, oh, this is maybe where you can save yourself from wreckage. The Black Book is a kind of a way to incorporate a lot of different pieces of a network that may not have a purpose, and then somebody like HCC can do line art for one page where the character is telling you that this book has conversations, that there's a hashtag attached to it. So if it ends up in your hands, you already got 10 people talking about it at your reach, So the $20 that it costs or the $50 for two, you can definitely donate. If you're rolling heavy, donate more. That's great. But you're only going to get 2 books. The most I'll sell to one person is 2 books, just because I'm only doing 1,000 run print or print run. I'll cool off for a bit.
No, I think you should go on. Describe more about what it is and its purpose.
Well, I have been drawing comics for a long time. I'm not in the business for various reasons, but I like being in media right now. But as far as the comic, it's like a 6-chapter comic about people chasing each other, which is relatable. And if I'm writing it, it's going to have the esoteric in it. So, but basically, I tried to squeeze in as much culture in one book as I could. So there's artists from around the world. There's big names. There's small names that are probably, stocking shelves in the meantime, while they're not drawing. So it's kind of one of those things where I tried to reach out to as many loose parts of the network to get them a couple paydays. It's built for 3 printings. The first print run, I apologize for that flicker. The first print run it's heavy for about 3 of the creators, and it covers the cost of the printing. The next 2 print runs, everything gets split evenly with all the creators. So you got like 3 paydays for artists that usually, have to bust their ass to network. So it's kind of taking, since the publishing model is kind of collapsing right now, I'm not sure you've noticed, you take a flashpoint like a convention to create a point of hype to sell something. I think that, like I said, it's a blueprint. If it works, it works. I would like to go. I don't know how many people are in here or will watch this, but if 500 watch it, let's go 500 for 500. Let's do something that no chat has ever done.
Yeah.
Everybody that hears this, get a black book. And I know you don't need more narrative in your life. There's stories going on everywhere. The black book, don't even look at.
You got to tell them where to find it. You got to tell them where to find it now.
Well, do I have to? I'll throw down a link.
Yeah, and if you send me the link, I'll put it on Twitter. I'll put it everywhere.
Oh, thank you, brother. But basically, I lost my train of thought.
Sorry, I do that.
I appreciate it when you do. I can definitely go on, but it is a passion project, and I can promise you the line art will not disappoint. I don't do heavy ink on the page, but I like to do layers. So sometimes you'll see a character pointing at something, but they might be pointing at something in a different frame. So there's codes and stuff like that, and there's stuff that'll be revealed about the book for probably 10 years now.
I just can't believe that CUJO would produce something that might be a little bit cryptic. This is blowing my mind. You're driving me crazy, man. You're kidding.
Well, I didn't want to walk with the side of preachy. Just know this, that none of the characters in it have a good grasp of what's going on, so they're definitely not telling you how to live or anything. It is a straightforward kind of adventure, and I think I was going to wrap with, the Black Book is something you put next to the family Bible, the Diddy Mal bag, the bag you grab if you have to get out. Because it talks about life. That's all.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it. It sounds interesting, and I can dig a story or a narrative that has some layers to it. In fact, I don't know. At this age, I kind of gravitate toward narratives that have a few layers. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be cool.
I appreciate it, brother.
We've been kind of talking about Joe Fest a little bit. You mentioned Ed, and I've got to say kudos to Ed too. This is monumental what he's doing here. It is just a massive undertaking, and I honestly don't know how one person can do it. It is crazy, but he's putting together something that is special. And I've been to several JoeCons, and I enjoyed all of them. They were a lot of fun. But there seems to be something special about Joe Fest. And so I mean, who knows if it's going to live up to the hype? But all together in one place, having Sergeant Slaughter and Larry and Kirk and Ron Rudat and some animated voice actors, and you've got like some fan creators too. He actually kept some space for the fan creators as well. So I mean, this is it feels like a more complete show than some of the JoeCons that I've been to, in that it includes not just like the big names and the stars and everybody that the people that everybody gets autographs from, but it includes this grassroots level, and I appreciate that Ed was sensitive to that and thought enough about it to know that we needed to be included in that. So I'm extremely excited. I will have special announcements at Joe Fest. See it first at Joe Fest. Big stuff coming up. So so I'm gonna have a table, and I've never had one before, but I'll have some drawings and some sketches. I'll have some secret code books. I'll just have some stuff to either sell or give away, and plus I just want to see people. To me the table isn't so much for people to come and see me; it's for me to see you. So come see me. And so I'm excited. That was the most exciting thing about, especially the last Joe Fest, the one that we were both at, is that so many people came up and said hi, and it was so exciting to actually talk to so many people. Some folks that I talked to, in the live stream or in comments, but to actually meet them in person, that's a huge deal. So I am both excited and nervous about Joe Fest. So what are your feelings? What are your deep, dark, secret, inner feelings about Joe Fest? Any concerns about it? Anything you're particularly excited about?
Well, there's logistics with the Black Book that I'm up against, but that's the right kind of pressure. As far as just the people at the show, I'm looking forward to chatting with a spectrum of people. That's always the best part. Is there people that I want to chat with? I definitely think that Ed brought in a spectrum of people, and honestly, the guest list could have been fatter if I could have gotten my stuff done, but. I think that there's going to be kind of like an energy just because of that social media focus that you said. Brian, Special Missions, what's up, brother?
Yeah.
Special Mission Force. He's doing that photo contest. That's one awesome. More way for community to kind of get in there and flex. I know that Plastic Battles will be there. It's kind of like. G.I. Joe should lead the way in kind of community evolution when it comes to just being supportive, I think. I mean, that's what I feel like. If there's a legacy of Hama, it's that you help everybody with what you've learned, that kind of thing.
That's a great way to put it. And yeah, you mentioned a couple important folks that'll be there. Great creators. They produce just some awesome stuff. And I'm looking forward to meeting them in person. Well, I guess I have met them before, but I'm looking forward to seeing them again and kind of getting together with everyone. And the one thing that I think is remarkable about this community, and maybe it's too good to be true, and maybe it can't last, but for the most part, the loudest voices that we have are also very positive voices. You don't see a lot of people tearing other people down. And that is something that is not the case in a lot of fan communities. And so that's one thing that, at least on my channel, I actively try to cultivate. I know that not everybody agrees with every opinion that I have, and not only is that okay, I want to encourage people to think for themselves. There is, I'm on YouTube, and there's this, the YouTube reviewing sort of mode is like just a lot of it is just like just spitting hate at something, and that's people spit hate at whatever movie or whatever they're reviewing, throw up a video and get 100,000 views or whatever. I don't. That's not me. I couldn't do that.
Let me speak to that angle. Let me speak to that angle just for a second. One of the aspects of the experiment around the Black Book is, can you get a buzz around something that doesn't polarize people, which is basically everything right now.
Yeah.
So I definitely, when I was talking around people or to people around the industry, I said, look, you guys are looking for metrics that try and make things work. I'm going into this without being hostile to either perspective or whatever's going on out there. Let's see if I can build positive buzz. So it's an active experiment. I definitely know what you're saying, and you can go viral if you have bad energy at something or kind of like rant on something. So I get why people do it, but like I said, the age of information has new rules, and they apply to everybody.
And full confession, I have ranted before. I have. My opinion is always honest and unvarnished. However, I've always tried to temper that with saying that you don't have to agree with me. In fact, I have more respect for someone who will watch something that I do, understand and accept what I say, but still can hold a different opinion. Who still can think for themselves, that's just kind of the environment that I want to create on the channel. I want people who they may not all necessarily agree, but we're talking about we're talking about great comic books and great toys and things that we have contributed a lot of positive things to our lives. We can be happy about these things. We can disagree about these things, but we can still enjoy them. So I'm really excited about the Black Book. I'm really interested in it. The more you talk about it, the more I'm interested in seeing it. It sounds like a very unique thing that hopefully could be something really special.
Well, if it does give people a flashpoint to move their indie books or indie projects, like a convention can build a narrative around something. And honestly, if the convention you team up with allows you to have a panel, you can tell people how to make the book go viral. You know what I mean? So. Yeah. It depends on how you build the book, but no, it's a concoction. You're going to enjoy the cocktail known as the Black Book.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, thanks, brother. Well, you're in it. I'm looking forward to that.
Yes. So another reason to get it, or hey, get it anyway. Even though I'm in it, get it anyway. It'll still be good. Another thing that's going to be kind of exciting is that a lot of the fan creators that will be at Joe Fest, a lot of them are, I say a lot of them. Some of them are Cobra Convergence veterans. They've been involved in Cobra Convergence before. And that's just, that's the thing that we've kind of done. That is an internet entity, right? But I really get a trip out of actually meeting people who have kind of thrown their hat into that project. And at JoeCon, with SEO Toy Review, who I saw was in the live chat, hello SEO Toy Review, and some other guys. I've actually been able to meet some of these folks in person. So Cobra Convergence was... this little project that has grown to be a bit bigger. And so that is something that I'm hoping at Joe Fest I can make more connections with people who are involved in that project. It's really kind of blown me away how many people are involved now. And I don't want to give it too much away. There's a lot still in the planning phase, but there will be some big announcements here in the near future. There's big stuff coming, very, very big stuff.
Well, I know the clock's winding down, but you give me a window to kind of say something that we've said several times in a different forum, G.I. Joeberg. But, dude, you've done things network-wise that... logistically and kind of like how people are framing media, you should not have been able to do. And honestly, we're both not gonna blow up the TV screen or anything like that, but we're living proof that you can build a network from the ground up. That's what's cool about G.I. Joe to me right now is the people that are succeeding within the community.
Yeah, it's been remarkable to see. And I know some of that collaboration had been going on in podcasts and things like that beforehand, but before the first Cobra Convergence, when it was just me and Kevin and Timmer, Kevin and Timmer had been doing YouTube G.I. Joe videos for a long time, and nobody actually thought to contact each other and work together, and that is something that I hope people continue to do even after I'm gone, because there's so many great creators out there, and there's so many great opportunities to work together. So I'm hoping that that's something that continues. And in the meantime, I'll work with as many folks as I can. I have a rule. My rule is I will work with in regards to YouTube specifically, I will work with any channel that I respect, no matter how small it is. And I will never work with channels that I don't respect, no matter how big they are. I want quality people. I want folks that are intelligent. I want folks that that have the passion and the drive, and I want people that I can respect and that my audience can respect as well. And so if you got that, then I will probably want to work with you, because one of my favorite things that I didn't even know would be a favorite thing when I started out is the opportunity to work together with people. These just collaborating with things, putting two heads together and coming up with something bigger than either of us could have done on our own. That has become one of my favorite things in the world.
Word. I echo that. That's probably the right point to leave it on. I'll just wrap it up with just one more look at the Black Book. I'm printing 1,000. As of checking my email, there's about 990 left. That sounds funny. It is. But the experiment is ongoing, and you're part of it. So, take a look. And for me, it's about community from here on out. I'm looking to support people like Joe on Joe, people like When It Was Cool, people like Strident, who's in the Black Book.
All great.
I just dropped one name, but no,
Great.
It's just people that need a blueprint to get out of where they're at.
That is a great way to wrap it up. Unless you have any more words, so certainly we can go longer if there's anything you feel like talking about.
No, I like your format. It's a good look. We're not taking advantage of anybody's time. I roll with G.I. Joburg. We're out here. G.I. Joburg was a low-level frequency network that reached around the world. That's new media, baby. Steven, you're unbelievable. You know that, brother. Paul's in the Black Book.
Absolutely.
Robert, I see you, brother.
What Joburg has done is really remarkable. It really is. I mean, and the creative energies that they have is just it blows me away sometimes. The stories that they're creating, I can't wait to see each one. The effort that they put into them, just incredible. And the podcast is just, you can't miss it. You don't want to miss a single episode. So, I just have the greatest admiration for Joburg and what they've done. It's just incredible stuff. This is why it's a great time, I think, to be a G.I. Joe fan. In this day and age where we have access to the internet and you can actually create something and put it out there and people can actually find it and see it, and it's an era in which something like G.I. Joburg can exist and can get listeners, that they can get followers, they can get people who latch onto it. So I know life ain't perfect right now, and maybe some things could be better, but man, I feel lucky. I feel very lucky to be around right now, especially with some of these guys that I've been able to work with. Just it's a great time. Very happy.
Age of information, baby.
Yeah. Well, in that case, I guess we can wrap it up. Everybody, that was CUJO from G.I. Joburg.
Thank you, guys.
The Black Book. I'll put information on the regular social media outlets, so you can check out the Black Book. I will be in it, so that'll be fun. Hope you guys will check that out. And don't forget Joe Fest. Joe Fest is a big thing that's coming up, and it's going to be more of a spotlight than I'm used to. So I'm a bit nervous about it, but I'm hoping a lot of people will come.
Let me end it with some Joe Fest too.
All right.
2 months out, what can't you do in 2 months? You don't have money for a ride? Carpool. There's Joe fans from all over the United States going. Like, just network up. Let's do it.
Yeah, might as well. And it's the location looks like it's pretty good. The people that'll be there looks like it's going to be there'll be a lot of reasons to go.
Slaughter's going to be there.
Yeah, Slaughter's going to be there, and the guy who's organizing it is just, I think, doing a bang-up job and really listening to what fans want more so than other conventions, earlier conventions did. So I've got to give him a lot of support for that. So please, if you can, if there's any way you can do it, if you know, by horse and buggy, by you know. Jog, you know, walk if you have to, but if you can make it, I'd love to see you. So I think that's a good point to wrap it on. I will say good evening to everyone, and thanks to CUJO for joining me. This is a little bit of an experiment in how to exactly do a guest on the live stream. I don't know that I'll do it this way next time, but you know, like the Black Book, hey, this was an experiment, and much was learned, I think, and I will perfect this technique, and we will do even better next time. And, of course, CUJO, you are welcome back anytime you feel like it.
Thank you, man. It's a beautiful place to be.
All right, okay, folks, thanks to everyone who showed up and was in the live chat. I will say goodnight to everyone, and I will see you guys. Oh, hey, review coming up on Sunday, so don't miss that, and then honest to God, next Tuesday we will for real do the regular live stream. I won't skip out on this time. So, but that's it for tonight. I will see you all later, and I will push this little button that will turn this thing off.